You... If that...
The killer didn't take Nagi. I'm telling you, they were
The reason Nagito's
It's because the killer...
So that's why. What were they trying to... Definitely the bombs... If so, is whoever found...
That was for you. I found it. There's no way I'd torture someone. The killer didn't take Nagito's mouth to shut him up. I'm telling you, they were...
The reason Nagito's body...
It's because the killer tortured Nagito.
No, that's wrong!
But...
I'm prepared. Like you said, Nagito's mouth was taken. You obviously assumed he couldn't, but that was the trap. He wanted to hide the fact that he got interrogated.
But if you tape his mouth shut, how is he supposed to...
Pay attention! First, the killer tortured and got information about the... Then, after they killed him...
Allow me to cut through those words!
The direct cause of the fire was the oil lighter found at the crime scene, right?
The killer used some kind of setup. He lit the curtain on fire with the lighter.
Some kind of setup?
Did they use the oil as an improvised fuse?
They probably just threw the lighter.
Based on the shape of that oil lighter, it can stand upright while the flame is lit.
If they tipped over the lighter in some way, it could have ignited the curtain.
Some way?
Maybe they used invisible thread.
There should have been a way to tip it over with sound waves.
Or perhaps opening the door caused...
I agree with that!
I also agree that opening the door is what started the fire.
Just as I thought, it was the wind pressure! A dust devil blown here from glorious Japan!
No, not wind pressure. They probably used the Monokuma panels. A huge number of tipped-over Monokuma panels were found at the crime scene, right? It looked like they were scattered everywhere, but some were laying on top of each other in a single line. Just a single line leading from the warehouse door to the fire's origin.
Does that mean anything?
The killer probably arranged those Monokuma panels to create a domino effect.
A domino effect? You mean those tiles kids play with by lining them up and tipping them over?
In place of those tiles, the killer used the Monokuma panels. So when we opened the warehouse door, the first panel toppled into the second. And from there, they fell like dominoes until they reached the lighter at the end.
But wouldn't it be obvious that those big panels were falling over?
That's probably why they turned off the lights in the warehouse, so we wouldn't notice them.
So the reason the warehouse was dark was to hide the domino effect.
And one more thing.
There was something else the killer did to hide the domino effect, right?
I see! You're talking about the MP3 player, right? That hymn blaring throughout the warehouse masked the sound of the falling panels.
That's it. So the strange sound was actually the sound of the panels falling.
But those sounds weren't the only strange thing, right? Looking back on it, it was also strange when we opened the door to the warehouse.
So the door was being blocked by a Monokuma panel.
And when we opened the door, the domino effect started, and the falling panels eventually reached the lighter.
Yeah, and that's how the warehouse caught on fire. At least, that's how it looks.
You don't look so sure.
At the time, Akane mentioned that she could barely open the door.
Because the panel was blocking it, right?
But the blocked doorway, there wasn't enough space for a person to fit through, right?
Is that a problem?
It's a major problem. I mean, that door was the only entrance to the warehouse.
I see! If the panel was so close to the door that it could barely be opened, the killer inside the warehouse wouldn't be able to leave, right?
Now that you mention it.
Does that mean they were hiding inside?
Who? We were all outside the warehouse, you know.
Based on the patterns up until now, I believe some kind of setup was used.
You don't have to think so hard. There's actually only one person who could have possibly done this.
You don't mean...
Hajime? What do you mean?
This is my answer! What if it was Nagito?
Why'd you bring him up? He's the victim, you know.
He wasn't just the victim. Maybe.
Huh?
Not just the victim? What does that mean?
He was the victim. And he was the perpetrator, too. Maybe.
Are you saying this was a suicide? Don't be stupid. His body was covered in torture wounds. Or did you already forget? Are you saying those were all self-inflicted?
But Unagito might do something like that, don't you think?
That's not the issue. He arms and legs.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, as long as you understand. Need to discuss? That's not necessary at all. No matter how much you think about it, it's clearly impossible. To actually tie up your own arms and legs. That's obviously impossible!
Tying just the legs is one thing, but tying both arms would be impossible.
You couldn't do much with the free arm.
It'd be impossible if you were by yourself.
How about if you use your teeth? Or if you use your front tail?
Dirty joke! Is that a dirty joke?
To actually tie up your own arms and legs. That's obviously impossible!
Tying just the legs is one thing, but tying both arms would be impossible.
You couldn't do much with the free arm.
It'd be impossible if you were by yourself.
How about if you use your
Dirty joke! Is that a dirty joke?
To actually tie up your own arms and legs.
No, that's wrong!
Hold on a sec. Isn't that premise flawed?
What? I mean, it's no mistake that his arms and legs were...
No, it shouldn't have been both of his arms. The rope on his right arm was completely burnt up. Based on that, you can't say he was tied up.
That was just burned by the fire. He should have been tied up before then.
It burned because of the fire. Like you said, it might look like that. But that was part of the trap. There's concrete evidence that proves it. Trap!
I see!
Take a close look at his right sleeve. Even though the rope was burnt up, his sleeve wasn't burned at all. A burn like this, no matter how you think about it, is unnatural. That rope was burned in advance so it would look like it was burned in the fire.
Then Nagito's right arm wasn't tied up, right? He was able to move it freely.
Yeah, that should be the case.
Hajime, that's awesome! I'll let you cop a feel if you want.
Akane, you should not give it away for free. Make sure they pay you first.
That's definitely wrong.
Fine. I just gotta get a Benjamin from him before I let him touch me, right?
That's not what I meant. I'm talking about Nagito. I mean, even if his right hand wasn't tied up, the knife was still stabbed into it, you know?
It's impossible to stab a knife into your right hand with your right hand.
Ah, that much is obvious.
Hajime, you tricked me! Give me back that Benjamin!
Hold on. There should be a way.
Then hurry up and spill it!
If it's something lame, I'll make you give back the Benjamin with 10,000% interest!
Even if Nagito's right hand was free, how could he stab his right hand with his right hand?
If he threw the knife into the air and let the knife fall, could he stab his hand that way?
Is he a throwing knife expert?
Maybe he propped the knife somehow? And slammed his right hand down on it?
Propped it onto what?
If he just propped the knife, he could have used his bound left hand.
If you're tied up, your arms won't bend that easily. We don't know if his left hand could even reach his right hand. Even if Nagito's right hand was free, how could he stab his right hand with his right hand?
If he threw the knife into the air and let the knife fall, could he stab his hand that way?
Is he a throwing knife expert?
Maybe he propped the knife somehow? And slammed his right hand down on it?
Propped it onto what?
If he just propped the knife, he could have used his bound left hand.
If you're tied up, your arms won't bend that easily. We don't know if his left hand could even reach his right hand. Even if Nagito's right hand was free, how could he stab his right hand with his right hand?
If he threw the knife into the air and let the knife fall, could he stab his hand that way?
Is he a throwing knife expert?
Maybe he propped the knife somehow? And slammed his right hand down on it?
Propped it onto what?
If he just propped the knife, he could have used his bound left hand.
If you're tied up, your arms won't bend that easily. We don't know if his left hand could even reach his right hand. Even if Nagito's right hand was free, how could he stab his right?
If he threw the knife into and let the knife, could he stab his hand that way?
Is he a throwing knife?
Maybe he propped the knife somehow?
I agree with that. The life-size Monokuma plushie. He must have used that to prop the knife.
Makes sense. That's why there was a big hole in the plushie's stomach. He inserted the knife handle into that hole to prop it up. That's it. He had to place the plushie near him. And it also explains the mysterious blood on...
So the blood on the plushie came from Nagi.
I see. So that's the trick.
But for a moment, I seriously thought Monokuma died or something.
A bleeding plushie is super scary!
After stabbing his hand, he no longer needed the plushie.
He probably thought the fire would incinerate it and destroy the evidence.
So what do you think now, Fuyuhiko?
I get what you're saying about the wound on his right hand, but there's still one huge problem. The spear. Basically, you're saying Nagito committed suicide by impaling himself with a spear. If you think about the order, getting killed by the spear should have been the last thing to happen to Nagito. If that's true, how is that possible? He can't grab a spear with his right hand if a knife is stabbed into it and his left hand was all tied up.
Then, he probably took the spear first, and as he endured the pain, he stabbed the knife into his right hand.
There is a limit to his constitution. If you got penetrated by something so big and thick, you would die instantly.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch all that.
Like I said, if you got penetrated by something so big and thick, you would die instantly.
Say it one more time. I need to record it. For reasons.
Hey, bastard, you better cut it out!
Like she said, in that condition, it's very difficult to stab yourself with a spear. It'd be hard to use a spear with a knife stabbed into your right hand while your left hand is tied up.
So you're saying it's impossible?
But no matter what I think, I can't believe Nagito's death was caused by someone else.
I also agree with that. To think that one of us could kill someone with such cruelty, I could never believe that.
You say you can't believe it? You just don't want to believe it, right? But that's why you keep getting betrayed over and over again, right? Same goes for this time, too.
You just shut your mouth. It's against the rules to interfere with everyone. If you even think about doing anything, I have a plan of my own.
Monome's sassing me!
But it's just as Monokuma said. We've been betrayed over... This might also be the same. Calling this a suicide takes too much for granted, and it...
Then are you saying there is a killer among us, Kazuichi?
Of course that doesn't
As Kazuichi said, it's true we've been constantly betrayed. But even if I'm betrayed again, I still want to believe in everyone. No matter how many times I may be betrayed, I still want to believe in everyone.
I also want to believe that there's no killer, but suicide is unimaginable.
Do you really think so?
But you said it too. It'd be impossible for him to stab himself with a spear in his condition.
I did say difficult, but I never said impossible. I feel that there's some way he could have stabbed himself with that spear.
What kind of way?
I don't know.
You don't know.
It's impossible to figure out by myself. So let's think about it together. That's how we made it this far up till now.
Everyone, working together.
All right, let's do this.
How did Nagito stab himself with a spear? Let's work together and think this through.
When the spear stabbed Nagito, his right hand was covered by the knife, right?
He was only able to move his left hand.
But his left hand was also tied up.
Then that rules out his left hand.
No, that's wrong.
Hold on. It's still too early to dismiss the possibility that he used his left hand.
Why? I mean, his left hand was tied up, you know?
But there was something off about his left hand. The bloodstain on the palm of his hand. Don't you think it looked somewhat strange? He only had blood on the lower area of his palm. Beyond that point, the bloodstain suddenly cuts off, right?
When the blood splattered, that's as far as it reached, right?
That settles the description of that bloodstain, but it's not the only unnatural bloodstain. Look, there's blood on the back of his hand, around the middle joints of his fingers.
Like you said, it looks like an unnatural bloodstain, but what's wrong with that?
We might need to think and use our imaginations for a bit. If there's blood on his palm and the back of his hand, what was his left hand doing as the blood splattered?
I see! When the blood splattered, he was probably gripping with his left hand. That's why there's such a strange-looking bloodstain on his palm and the back of his hand.
Was he grabbing his front tail?
Perish the thought! He was obviously grabbing the spear!
Now that you mention it, compared to the rest of his body, the wounds on his left arm are pretty mild. He probably made his wounds mild on purpose, so he could keep his strength while he gripped the spear.
But even if he held the spear with his tied-up left hand, it'd be impossible for him to stab himself.
Hey, Chiaki, what do you think? Hey, don't tell me you're getting sleepy.
At times like this, you should always strike from a good angle, just like fixing an old TV.
Oh, I got it. Maybe.
Really?
Yeah, like I thought. It's no mistake that Nagito was gripping the spear, I think. However, what's important is what section of the spear he was gripping.
I see! That's it. Instead of the handle, Nagito must have been holding onto the cord. There was a metal weight at the tip of the cord, but there were bloodstains on that part too. Plus, the joint between the weight and the cord had a bloodstain shaped like it was cut off by something.
Isn't the size of that cut-off section about the same size as a human fist?
Ah, you're right. So this is the part Nagito was gripping, huh? And then the blood that was supposed to end up here ended up getting on Nagito's left hand.
But why is it so important to know which part of the spear he was gripping?
You're not gonna say he gripped the tip of the cord, swung the spear around, and stabbed himself, right?
That is where the clue to solve this mystery resides. Right, Chiaki? I am sorry. Of course this mystery will not be solved that easily. It seems we are stuck. Shall we have tea time?
At a time like this, how about we stick to the plan to think one step at a time instead of expecting the answers all at once?
That's a long plan name.
One step at a time. What does that mean?
Let's focus on the spear first. Namely, where it was and how it was positioned just before it impaled Nagito.
How it was positioned. It's all coming together! The spear impaled Nagito as he was laying face up. It must have been perpendicular to him just before that.
Perpendicular? In the middle of the air?
If Nagito did that all by himself, did he have some sort of ESP?
That'd be awesome, but he probably used the ceiling girder directly above him.
Nagito probably slung the cord over the ceiling girder, and using that as a support. He hoisted the spear directly above him. And if Nagito let go of the cord, the spear would have fallen and impaled him while he was laying face up.
I noticed a slight red streak on the ceiling girder. It probably got smeared there during the setup.
The blood on the cord probably rubbed off on the ceiling girder as the spear was falling. So, how about it? Using this method, Nagito could have impaled himself with the spear.
Are you serious? He really committed suicide? Like that?
He probably chose that spear so he could commit suicide like that. If someone else did this, there's no reason they'd go to all this trouble just to kill someone with a spear.
I agree. When I was investigating this case, I kept thinking over and over how strange it was. Why did the killer use the knife and the spear so differently?
So you're saying he needed to use that spear to pull off his trick?
Then, this is for real? He really committed suicide? Every single wound on his body. That was all him?
Not just that, he did all that while he was gripping the spear? That spear should not have stabbed Nagito until the very end. Which means Nagito wounded himself while he was gripping that spear, right?
Did he put the duct tape on his mouth, too?
He probably covered his own mouth so we wouldn't hear him screaming in pain.
Did he need to go that far? That's beyond crazy! Why would he do that to himself?
He was probably trying to get us to make a mistake. By committing a suicide that looked like a murder, he was trying to steer us toward the wrong answer. His goal was to get us all executed.
That's why he stabbed himself over and over again?
Did he want us to die that bad?
That's messed up. That's seriously so messed up.
Yeah, that's our Nagito.
However, there is one thing I still do not understand. He said he would reveal the traitor, right? Whatever became of that?
He was probably planning to kill the traitor along with the rest of us.
So why did he not just do that in the first place? If he had no qualms with killing everyone, he did not have to cause a bomb scare to reveal the traitor.
I bet the bomb scare was part of the strategy behind this trick. He made us split up and search for a bomb so none of us would have an alibi. He created a scenario where any of us could have killed him.
He tried to make us doubt each other, and tried to hide the truth behind his suicide.
Did he cause a bomb scare for that reason alone?
He's a fucking bastard who killed himself for his delusions of grandeur. It's not that unthinkable.
You are right, I suppose.
Yeah, It appears we've come to a conclusion. Bastard Nagito committed suicide. It was all done by him so he'd be executed.
That should be okay, right? Right?
What? You're not satisfied yet?
No, I agree that Nagito killed himself, but I feel like there's something that doesn't make sense. It's probably just my imagination.
So what are you gonna do? Is it okay to proceed with the voting time?
What do you think, Akane?
Well, there's no doubt Nagito's death was a suicide. Oh well, I guess my gut is wrong sometimes.
You're right. It is not as though we can draw any other conclusion.
Then it's okay to end it here, huh? That means we're done with this last class trial and we can leave this island, right? It's okay to reach such a happy ending, right?
Then it's okay? It's okay to say, you've decided on the killer? Understood. Then voting time.
No, hold on a sec.
Hold on. Why?
Sorry, just a little more. I want you guys to wait just a little more. I can't help but feel like there's still something we overlooked.
Like who the traitor is?
But the issue here is who killed Nagito, right? Even if we identify the traitor, the conclusion won't change.
That's true, but...
The mystery isn't just about who the traitor is. No matter how you look at it, Nagito's death is a suicide. But I'm a little worried, you know? I'm worried about starting the voting time while there's still a mystery.
Hey, what do you mean it's not about who the traitor is? What kind of mystery is left?
There's just one thing that doesn't make sense. And it relates to Nagito's death. Plus, it's something even Nagito couldn't influence. He couldn't even tamper with the evidence for it.
You're gonna keep going? Here I thought we were finally finished.
Is it about the Monokuma file?
Yeah, that's it.
Huh? There was something suspicious in the Monokuma file?
In this particular case's Monokuma file, there's no specific cause of death.
Isn't that weird? Until now, the files always specified the cause of death.
But the cause of death is obvious, is it not? The spear in Nagito's stomach. It is obvious just by looking at it that it was the cause of death.
Maybe it's not included if it's not important enough to write about.
Well, Monokuma, I plead the fifth!
There he goes again! I'm so appalled that I have nothing to say.
But even during Gundam's case, and before during Nikon's case, the thing he purposely omitted from the Monokuma file was always the most important mystery in the case.
Are you saying that applies this time too?
Hold on a sec. Then, are you saying there's more to Nagito's death? Are you suggesting, again, that his death wasn't a suicide?
You guys were the ones who said it was a suicide in the first place!
No, I don't think it's a mistake to call Nagito's death a suicide, but it's not just a suicide. Come to think of it, did Nagito really commit suicide just to get us all killed?
Are you sticking up for him?
That's not what I meant. I mean it in a bad sense.
Bad sense?
I just remembered that his malice always defied our expectations, and that concerns me. For example, would that malice just end here?
Huh?
Did Nagito's malice drive him to risk his life?
How interesting! You sure do believe in Nagito, huh? Because you believe in his malice, you continue to suspect his malice. I see. I guess that's what passes for friendship these days.
What friendship?
What should we do, you guys? Should we proceed with the vote? I think we should keep going until everyone is satisfied, even if it's just to be safe.
You're right. We only get one chance to vote after all.
Just to be safe, huh? Guess I have no choice. If that's the case, I'll do my best to go along with it.
This is friggin' annoying. But if you guys say you're doing it, there's no way I'm gonna back out.
Hey, Monokuma, you heard us. The voting's gonna have to wait!
We've come this far. Let's work hard till the very end. If we work together, everything should be all right. That's what I believe.
Oh, splendid. You guys are so splendid right now. That's right. If all your hopes are united, no despair can shake you.
No, no!
By now, there's nothing more for me to say. Anyway, my chest is full of pride right now. Everyone is united against despair. They're totally awesome. That's why I'm gonna fight too. I will fight the only way I can. I'm gonna show that guy my fearsome retaliation. That's basically it.
So if we're working together, where do we start? With the cause of death missing from the Monokuma file?
Why don't we try removing all our preconceived notions before we discuss this? In the beginning, our discussion advanced by assuming Nagito's death was caused by the spear. It's better to confirm if there are any other possibilities. That's what I think.
Other possibilities.
If something other than the spear killed Nagito, all I can think of is the knife stabbed into his hand, but...
That was definitely a gruesome wound, but it wouldn't be the fatal wound, don't you think?
If you think the cuts on his legs and left arm aren't the fatal wounds...
Are we finished already?
I feel like... it's possible that we overlooked something.
Then let's bring up whatever we can think of, one after the other. That might clear some things up.
Exactly! We should cooperate at a time like this. Let us consider a different fatal wound.
It's not the knife in his right hand, right? It's not the other wounds, right?
With all those wounds, maybe he simply bled to death.
There's no way he burned to death. Was the cause of death something that cannot be seen?
If it's something that can't be seen, maybe he choked himself with a sleeper hold. Or liquefied his guts with a body blow.
Just thinking about it, that's already a horrible death.
Let us consider a different fatal wound.
It's not the knife in his right hand. It's not the other wounds, right?
With all those wounds, maybe he simply bled to death.
There's no way he burned to death. Was the cause of death something that cannot be seen?
If it's something that can't be seen, maybe he choked himself or liquefied his gut.
Just thinking about it, that's already a horrible death.
Let us consider a
It's not the knife in his... It's not the other wound.
With all those wounds, maybe he simply...
There's no way he... Was the cause of death something that cannot be seen?
I agree with that. That's it. I totally forgot about that possibility. If the cause of death was something we can't see, then we have to consider poison as a possible method.
It is true that poison is not something we can see, but why did you bring that up all of a sudden?
I remember, when I went to investigate Nagito's cottage, I discovered something really strange. Inside the refrigerator, I found a bottle of Monokuma's special poison.
Poison?
Additionally, that's a poison made specifically for killing. I see. Now that you mention it, there's no way a toxin like that doesn't relate to the case at all.
If poison was the cause of death, it would not leave an obvious wound on Nagito's body.
However, it's common for blood blotches to appear on a body that's been poisoned.
I see. You sure seem to know a lot about medicine.
What does that mean?
But, even if blood blotches appear, if the body was already covered in blood, there's no way we'd notice them easily, right?
Did he wound his body just to camouflage them?
That's also a possibility.
But still, both of Nagito's hands were full. So how would he drink poison?
His left hand was tied up and gripping the spear, and his right hand had a knife stuck in it.
If it was a slow-acting poison, it is possible he consumed it in advance.
No, the warning label on the bottle explicitly states the effect is instant.
Then it's impossible. Both his hands were full just before he died.
And this is when the hardtail appears.
You're totally overvaluing that tail.
His mouth was covered with duct tape. If he wanted to drink poison, how'd he get it past his lips?
If there's no way he could have drank the poison, it might be impossible. Just kidding. It's not like we're out of possibilities yet.
Are there any left?
Hell no! No matter how you slice it, he was totally killed by that spear.
Since we've already ruled out so many possibilities, it might be easier to think about what really killed him. Operation Elimination Method. The hint should be written on the poison's warning label. Maybe.
It's all coming together! We assume he inhaled it.
Inhaled?
It's written on the poison's warning label. Dangerous when vaporized. In other words, breathing in the gas is fatal.
Poison gas! Then all he had to do was breathe it in through his nose!
Breathe that poisonous gas inside the warehouse? But if poisonous gas had spread throughout the warehouse, why didn't it kill us?
I see! The sprinklers in the warehouse. Thanks to those, we didn't inhale that poison gas.
The poison gas disappeared because of the sprinklers? It wasn't the fire?
Well, this was also written on the poison's warning label.
Of course! Hydrolysis! The chemical bonds that formed the poison were broken down by the water from the sprinklers.
Also, the poison is apparently denser than air, so it probably didn't affect us because we were standing.
But Nagito was laying down, so he must have breathed in a whole bunch of it, huh?
If it meets the requirements that well, maybe it's not just a possibility anymore.
Yeah, the true cause of Nagito's death was poisoning. The wounds on his body, the spear in his stomach, it was all to keep us from learning the truth.
So what?
Huh?
We figured out that Nagito died from poison, but so what? In the end, it doesn't change the fact that he committed suicide, right? Then enough already!
Nagito inhaled the poison he prepared and died. Yeah, that still sounds like a suicide.
Well, with this, we have a clearer picture. We've also determined the true cause of death. All right, all the mysteries should be solved now. We should get on with the voting time, right?
Well, but...
What? There's still more?
Hey, what happened? There's no reason to wonder about that stuff anymore, you know.
There might have been an accomplice.
Chiaki, what did you just say?
If Nagito committed suicide by inhaling poison that he brought, then why wasn't there poison at the crime scene?
Anything that looked like poison?
If Nagito brought poison to the warehouse, it's strange that we couldn't find it there.
Are you talking about the container the poison was kept in?
If Nagito brought it, it's strange we couldn't find that container anywhere, right?
He can't get her?
Yeah, that was written on the warning label.
The container probably melted in the fire.
It's probably plastic or glass, right? There's no way it'd completely incinerate. Even the plastic fragments of the fire grenades we used to put out the fire didn't completely burn up, you know?
Then, does that mean someone got rid of the container?
So that's why you mentioned an accomplice.
That is impossible! I mean, an accomplice? It is just two...
Like, does that really matter all that much? I mean, even if he had an accomplice, it doesn't change the fact that Nagito still committed suicide.
You're right. Someone might have accidentally took it away from the crime scene.
Ah, you're right! You're totally right! That's totally it!
Right? Isn't it okay to close this case yet? I'm not in the mood for unexpected twists.
That's no good.
Huh?
I feel like Nagito is seeing through us. By calling this Nagito's suicide, we're trying to take the easy way out so we don't hurt anyone else. But if Nagito was here right now, he'd probably be sneering at us. He'd probably say something like, "So that's the extent of your hopes."
So Nagito's ghost is whispering to you, huh? The power of friendship bursts beyond death, huh? A fiery outcome like this is right out of a teen manga. Still, that's pretty messed up.
Shut up! You just be quiet.
I get what you're saying, but in the end, the reason he died is still the same as before, right? Even if we solve this mystery, the conclusion won't change at all.
I mean, it'd be a suicide regardless, right?
Even if there really was an accomplice, is there any reason we should take the time to figure out who it is? Like Fuyuhiko said earlier, it is possible that somebody accidentally removed the poison from the crime scene.
But I just can't imagine ending this by turning our backs on the truth.
It's fine, okay? There are some things we're better off not knowing, and we probably just didn't notice it. Like maybe the container was hiding with the fire grenade fragments.
Got it! I see! I got it! The fire grenades! Nagito put the poison inside one of the fire grenade canisters and transported it to the warehouse.